It's an absolute joke that this player doesn't get the respect that he deserves, and we're going to shine a light on it, you mothers. We're going to tell you why he's one of the best in the Premier League this season, and also why he's been one of the best for a few years now and no one seems to realise it. Tell me why he ain't nothing but an underrated player. Tell me why he ain't nothing but an underrated player. Tell me why I never wanna hear you say I want it. Don't wanna hit. Right, come on. Now, first up, versatility. That's right, Allcott knows big words. Versatility is a word that gets lost at times within these complex tactical models that focus on specialists, but this player in particular has demonstrated that he can be a specialist of his own by applying himself perfectly in different areas of the pitch. He's like water, fluid. Have a butcher's at his last 4 heat maps. They all differ because of how his club, Brighton, your first clue, used him in each game. Now, why is this versatility important? I hear you scream at the top of your lungs. Well, his ability to play week in, week out with a different nuance to his position offers so much for Brighton in terms of their tactical approach and how they deal with the different setups of their opposition. For example, at the weekend against Man United, he was slightly wider in where he received the ball, which was down to Man United using a narrow diamond. We've actually done a video on that. It's really interesting. People are thinking it's a terrible tactic, and it was a nightmare, but it can be fixed. Go watch the video after this one. So this meant that he found a lot of joy in becoming almost a Mazzala in possession. But his focus against Newcastle was being as central as possible, to play in parallel with Joe Linton and to negate any vertical balls through central areas. Very different. And then you look at his heat map against West Ham and we see that he spent a lot of his time in and around zone 14. This was because West Ham played with a deep block, meaning that he was able to be a recycler of possession in an advanced area, and he was given frequent opportunities to shoot or to find a teammate. But his role against Wolves, I know it's getting exhausting, it was completely different once again. Now, against Wolves, he sat deeper because of the threat Wolves pose when they carried the ball through the middle, as you saw probably on Monday Night Football when Wolves played Man United. Now, even with Brighton winning the match 4-1, he still maintained a level of tactical discipline and again showed how multifunctional he is, which isn't sexy, but if you say it in a sexy way, maybe it could be. Let's try. Multifunctional. Multifunctional. Wherever you are right now, just say multifunctional as sexy as you can. It just sounds like we've got wind, doesn't it? Multifunctional. That was better, wasn't it? Multifunctional. I've lost my mind. It's like... But who is this player? Well, it's Pascal Gross, and you probably knew that some time ago, but you were just waiting for me to say it, and you're probably going to leave, aren't you? You're just going to walk away. He's done it again! Well, before you go anywhere, we haven't even touched on why Gross is the most underrated player in the league, and the numbers behind it, or spoken about his highlights this season, which massively back it up. But also, Gross as an individual could be the reason as to why Brighton are able to sell their players for such high fees. By the way, if you want a video on the top 10 most underrated players, let's get this video to 5,000 likes and I will do a live debating who the most underrated players are on the channel. Now, there's one metric here that should really make you sit up and take notice. Shot creating actions per 90. Over the last 4 seasons, that's right, 4 seasons, we've done some bloody research. Gross has averaged between 3.83 and 4.56, which is exceptional for the type of player he is. But this season, he's taken it up a gear to ludicrous new levels. With a lot of players, you see a smooth linear development over time, but not in Gross's case. With 6.47 shot creating actions, Gross is putting up Kevin De Bruyne type numbers. That's right, I said it, I'll say it again. He's putting up Kevin De Bruyne numbers. And no one's giving him credit. But is he taking up similar positions to De Bruyne? And is this why he has gone up a gear this year? Well, it's actually not as straightforward as you may think. Right, people, to the tactics board. Now, this is a screenshot from Pascal Gross's most recent match. It was against Man United. His tactical presence of mind to move wider is one of the first examples we want to highlight in how underrated this guy is. Obviously, they were playing up against a diamond, and his ability to move wider to receive the ball, it was a common theme throughout this game, and it was something that allowed Brighton to play through the thirds with little to no pressure against this diamond. Now, due to his lack of pressure, he was able to make 5 successful long passes. He totaled 113 touches, and he pretty much had the freedom of Old Trafford. Shall we move on to the game against Newcastle? Very different role for him. He played in central areas in this one against Newcastle, and it's, again, both an understanding to go wide, but an understanding of when to come centrally and cause havoc during the game. Now, Gross is in possession here. Get rid of that. Gross is in possession here. And, okay, not much is happening there. But if you look at the wider picture, that's where you start to understand with the body language of this Newcastle side. Now, understandably, I get, look, people look at the ball. But absolutely everyone is worried about him. Absolutely everyone. I mean, even this dude. I get it. You're looking at the ball, right? But the point is that by bringing players in, especially when you're in central areas, that allows other players to thrive. Players like João Pedro, who's able to, make a move on the blind side of players here because Tonali's concerned about what Pascal Gross is going to do. But don't stop there. Look even wider. If you look wider, you can see Mitoma. He's going to be able to make a run here, and he can make it either way. And there will be concerns about where he's going to play that run because Pascal Gross has got that quality. But even if you look wider, Estupiñán as well. Gross's awareness of when to take a central position and when not to is paramount for Brighton. And he's somewhat of a pulse within the team because when he has the ball, because he's not the quickest, he's not going to dribble past loads of players, it's a marker, it's almost a trigger for the team from an attacking point of view to make those runs, wherever it may be, here, in behind, him being able to find Pedro and see the pass, Estupiñán when he makes that ball run, if Mitoma makes a more central run. All of those options are available because you've got a player who, yes, may stand still, but he'll stand still in the right area and he has the technical ability to pick a pass. Do you want one more? Let's do one more, shall we? Because it's all good and well having the knowledge of where to be at specific times, but Gross's overall quality is also exceptional. This is a screenshot from Brighton's defeat against West Ham. Now, despite the match resulting in a defeat for Brighton, Gross was actually exceptional in this match. His positioning here was a common theme for Brighton in this game, and I know there's been a lot spoken about West Ham in terms of their positioning. But in terms of being a threat, Gross was the threat. If you don't believe me, have a look at his shot map from the match. You can see that he had 5 shots from outside the box, 4 of them on target. He also made 6 key passes in the match and was the only Brighton player who looked like he would make anything happen. This is one of several moments where we should have stood up and taken notice. He has that dragability factor, and he is becoming a player that will look to drag his team towards victory. Pascal Gross will be the match winner for Brighton in several games this season. As we said earlier in the video, it's also really important to talk about how his performances affect others. Gross's stellar impact on this Brighton side can, of course, be measured through his personal stats, but it can also be measured through the impact that he has on the players around him. Here we have the average positions from that Man United match. The aspect I want to focus on here is how parallel with Dahoud, number 8, he is. Neither Gross or Dahoud are out-and-out defensive midfielders, but with this doubling up in the middle, they form that box of defensive solidity that suffocated the Man United diamond. All of which was done without a true defensive midfielder. Now have a look at Pascal Gross's heat map here and how much dominance he had on the middle right-hand side of the pitch. Gross pretty much single-handedly dealt with the right side of the pitch in the middle third, which gave Solly March the ability to stay high up the pitch. But because Gross stayed out of the way in central areas, it also allowed Gilmour to be a single pivot, and his heat map reflects that quite clearly as well. So again, his brilliance and multifunctionality is allowing for control, but also allowing other players to focus on one thing, their best thing. So it does beg the question, doesn't it? Should Pascal Gross have been the one that got bought for millions of pounds this summer?